Good afternoon. I'm Mark Allen with Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Ehsan Hakimi. I think I got that right. The founder of 365 Digital Consulting. Good morning in your case, Ehsan. How you
Good
doing?
morning, Mark. Good
Yeah.
morning, Mark. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us today. And you're in. It's actually it's afternoon here in San Francisco Bay Area. You're in Sydney, so it's actually almost 10 in the morning there, right?
Yes, we are actually one day ahead, usually from the other rest of the world.
So you're actually a little bit closer to the weekend than we are. Lucky you. So
Yeah,
So to
Friday
start
here.
with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience and right up until you joined 365 Digital Consulting?
Sure. So I started about 2 decades ago on the software development industry, and then I switched toward the business and rapid application development, which was SharePoint, because like a SharePoint was more suited for the businesses, and it was allowing you to make more because half of them was ready and you just developed the other half. And then in 2009, I established my own first startup, which was focusing on customizing the Dynamics CRM.
Hmm.
That time it does have version 1 to 4 and those sort of things. So we focused on the SharePoint document management, and then we gone to the CRM side. Then back in 2014, I immigrated to the Australia, which is a nice country actually,
Mhm.
and I was very happy with that decision. So on that time, I actually get engaged on the migration project to the Office 365 back in 2014, where the Office 365 was a baby actually, and it was just born a year before. And after that, I was working with large organizations such as Konica Minolta. I was engaging on a bigger project with an enterprise size, like 1,000 people in a company and enterprise, engaging on $1 million project on a bigger corporate. And then I decided to start my own startup to fill a gap that we found. And that gap was basically the main problem was in the industry, there are two ends. So there is a higher quality, super expensive local consulting company that they are providing very expensive solution with a good quality. And the other end is those freelancers or Upwork platform that the people go to buy like a $10 per hours services, and the results are totally different. So the people who has tried both sides, they know what I mean. So either side, you need to pay 100,000 K or 55,000 K at least to
Mhm.
get one solution, or you can pay $1,000 or something like that to get a very bad quality services, and you put the entire things into the trash bin. And
Mm.
I've been in the situation that we've done it as well. So we know both sides, and I've actually experienced it. And I was thinking like, why should we look like that? So why we don't have something in the middle where you can have a better pricings and a better quality? So that was the initiations that bring me the idea of starting up 365 Digital Consulting.
Very cool. So why don't you tell us, I mean, 365 Digital Consulting, why don't you tell us what your expertise is, who your typical customer is, how long you engage with them, things like that.
Sure. So we started about like 2.5 years ago with the two persons. So myself here in Australia and my co-founder in Germany, and the team has grown up a lot. So we are more than 10 staff totally, and the focus that we do have is on consulting of Office 365, SharePoint, and Microsoft ecosystem, I would say. So there are lots of tools that Microsoft providing to provide a better collaboration and better communication, and we are providing the services and solution on top of that. So we are custom software development company on top of that platform specifically. And so far we got a good result and from our previous clients. So we have 4.8 overall review on the G2 and Clutch and those platform. So that is very good, and it's actually increased our workload and revenue as well, because the marketing methodology we are using is word of the mouth. So our clients introduce us to each others, or they are bringing the second or third project for us, which is very good for us.
Very cool. So, now we're going to talk about remote work and remote employment in general. What is your background and you yourself, how much remote work have you done? Things like that. And did you typically go into an office before? And now obviously you don't.
Yeah, so I used to use to work in larger organizations, and they do have a remote working policy. So I was using once a week or once a fortnight of the remote working, and I was enjoying it because it's actually bring the balance to my life, and it's give me more freedom. And the developer type people are the people that they like to work at night till midnight. So yeah, so I was actually using that feature, and it was really cool. And then when I established the 365 Digital Consulting, the entire team was remote. So we start from uh, working remotely together, and we're using the tools like Telegram, WhatsApp, and the Trello for managing tasks because we were smaller. And then we grew up, and once we grew up, we found that those tools are not appropriate anymore. So we have to switch to the more formal tools such as Teams and for example, we migrate from G Suite to Office 365 internally. We use the Azure DevOps for the task management and those sort of things. So it's actually was a journey for us to move from informal remote team to be a more formal remote team because it's different. And remote team management is actually has its own challenge, I would say, because you want to manage your staff remotely when you have never seen them before, and you also need to keep them motivated. And there is a problem that you need to work on it as a group, and it's so different when you are in the office and you just open a meeting room and into it and then start talking about it, rather than everyone are remote and their different time and those sort of things. So very different for us, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, well, that brings up the next question that actually leads right into it. In your opinion, how does technology allow businesses to remote work, to allow remote work and to collaborate remotely with minimal impact?
Um, Indeed, I would say passing COVID-19 so smoothly wasn't possible if the technology wasn't in place and wasn't exist. I believe like there was a good coincidence in the time when the Microsoft actually create those tools like Teams. Like imagine just the Teams itself, how easier when you can categorize your chat with your team members.
Mhm.
You can have lots of conference meetings, immediately jump into it, record it. You can have online translations when you are in the meetings, and you can have a place to actually work together as a team, or compared to when you don't have such a thing. And the only things that was available before then was a file share, which was a server that the people just put their file in. So it was like very we were very fortunate that those technology being invented just before COVID. So
Mhm.
it's allowed us that transition so smoothly. Or SharePoint one when providing the collaboration feature and communications internally. So it is actually like make the make remote working much possible, I would say.
Mm, very interesting. So, well, what do you think is the future of remote employment? And in particular, what do you think about, the hybrid workplace? Do you think that will be the wave of the future, or do you think that will kind of go away after the pandemic?
Um, I heard that like this pandemic is not going to be the last pandemic. So in the future, like up until 224, 250, we would have some others of those. So I would assume the world would go toward the hybrid workplace, where like the people come to work 2 or 3 days, and the office would be downsized to half or something like that. So it's
Mhm.
actually would be more hot desking, more popular in the hot desking side, and the hybrid environment has its own specification because, but imagine you want to have a meeting. Half of the teams are in the office, the other half are remote from their home. So you need to have a good facilities and a easily connections for everyone to join and to be able to see everything, like see the whiteboard. So like if you see that Teams does have a whiteboard capability that both remote worker and in place like people who are in the office, they can see in the same times. And those sort of tools would actually help a lot the businesses, um, specifically corporate, I would say,
Mhm.
to progress on their work. Um, yeah, that's mostly what I think or what I heard.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you on that. So, and well, how does your company facilitate other companies in their journey to become a remote workplace? And how do you differentiate from your competitors?
Um, Indeed, all of the tools and software that we are providing is related to the remote working. So the entire Microsoft suite is including the Teams, SharePoints, and Power App, Power Automate. So these are allowing the people to be paperless. So previously, when you were requesting leave and you were in the company, you need to fill in a Word document and then sign it, print it, sign it, and then pass it to your manager, which was sitting next to you. But today, he's not sitting, right? You don't want to go to travel to your manager's home. Then you have to use the paperless solutions these days. So that paperless solution or document management, that's the one that we are creating. The
Mm,
other one is like a file server, which previously was a server in this company and everyone connecting to that. But today, the teams are all remote, so they need to be able to access to their file from everywhere, from their home, from their like any place they are. So the cloud migration is another thing that we are providing, and that is facilitates such a thing. The other one is the workflow automation. Previously, if you don't know what the process is, you are asking your colleague to tell you how to do the things, but because they are not sitting next to you anymore, so the process internally in the organization need to be documented and defined well. And in this case, that's a workflow allowing the like we are making the workflow automation, which means like we are allowing the things to be automated. If you don't know the process, you still just need to follow the email that you're receiving from the workflow notifications.
mm.
And the other one is like an intranet, which is making everyone informed. So imagine when you were at work, so you were hearing lots of news and event internally, while we, like at least for us in Australia, I haven't been at work at least in the last 9 or 10 months. I've been twice,
Mm.
so we don't know any news internally. So communication, like a intranet, would provide such a thing. So we are building those services. That's and that's all actually applicable for remote working, I would say.
Wow, very interesting. So it sounds like you do both. You help companies with their operations. You help them in the new norm, which is remote working remotely in their operations, and you also help them build other apps that are available to their customers, right?
Yes, exactly. So we are also making custom solutions for them to be able to use it, such as, for example, CRM customizations or
Mm.
integration that we are making for them to allow to the work to be more smoothly and more automated. And that is actually helped them a lot to save the money as well.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. And I remember it's been a few years, but I remember White or Microsoft used to offer Great Plains as their ERP system. Do they still have that system?
Yes, the name has been changed a lot. So it does have Dynamics Nav and then Dynamics AX. And today is actually Dynamics 365, which is
Hmm.
combination of CRM and ERP.
Hmm.
And we are doing like a Dynamics CRM customization as well for our clients.
Yeah, very good.
But like if I have a chance, I can actually tell how we are doing it differently compared to other competitors.
Sure.
So we are actually focusing on receiving the 5 star from 5 star review from our clients. So that is the main, like the most important things for us. And because we know the gap that I mentioned initially,
Hmm.
and the people want to have affordable pricings with high quality, that's the thing that we are trying to actually achieve for our customers. So they don't face the bad quality and they don't face the high pricing. So something in the middle of the range in between. And the difference that we do have, the other difference we do have is actually being quick and agile in our responding. So not waiting for 2 to 3 business days to receive your first initial answer is our goal. So most of our customers actually having direct contact with us using the WhatsApp and those sort of things with our consultant. So they get their response very quickly. And we are supporting multiple time zones. Imagine we are operating in 5 different countries, like we do have a staff in 5 different countries, and our clients are in 4 countries. So imagine like a 9 different time zones we have to support. We're almost 24 by 7.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you talk about the other side of it, right? Which I've dealt with in the past. And I don't know if I've ever seen a quote come in for less than 100K from the business.
Yeah, the
True.
100K is like a minimum one, because I can't remember. I was actually engaged with a very small project, like a 25 days project, and that 25 days project was for like a school,
Mhm.
and the school wasn't really have enough budget to pay for that. So it was very hard for them, specifically when it's go to the change request and those sort of things. Their budget almost all finished, and they did really don't like it. I feel it, like I feel that they don't like to have any increase because they really don't have budget. So that's the most problem of the small businesses. The small businesses actually suffering from that because um, they they like to be automated, they like to use the new technology, but when they get the code, they're actually so disappointed, and then they just leave, right?
Yeah,
So
I know.
and the other side is, I know lots of people that they actually try to do offshoring and outsourcing to the company, and they are so disappointed, and are saying that you never try it again.
Yeah.
And what we are doing here is actually we do have a local consultant to make sure about the quality of the deliverable, because like we have been working in larger organizations in the first world countries like Australia, UK, and those US as well. So we actually have we know what the expectation is. We know what the good solutions look like for these countries, because the reality is a solution which is good in Australia or in another country, it might not be as good here. That's the main difference.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. It's funny because these big companies, as you know, they have a salesperson that has to get a cut, and there's a program manager that gets a cut, and there's partners that get cut. So it adds up, and they get to be quite expensive. I think you're coming in right in a nice little niche there, which I think there's a lot of demand for that. So, and a lot of those companies use Microsoft products because they've been using them for years, correct?
Yes, so Microsoft has been increased a lot by itself. Like imagine Teams before COVID, I think it was 25 million daily active user. And after like I think in March or February, they announced 75 million daily active user. When I said daily active user, it means a user who every day log into that. So there are lots of more of those users. I'm just talking about the only user that log in every day.
Right.
So it's like an asset for them.
Yeah.
Um, so that's become to from 25 become 75 million, and then on December I heard like it's increased to 115 million.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I
it's
believe.
increased triple times and then increased twice. It's like a 5 times increase within the last 10, 11 months, I would say.
Yeah. Well,
So it's huge. So the demands are high. That's why we actually expand as well, because the number of requests is coming to us is increased because we are providing the services, which is called remote working, in the right time
mhm.
when
Yeah.
it's on demand.
Makes perfect sense. So, and since we brought it up, the pandemic really caused everybody to go remote. In the Bay Area where I live, it was March 16th of 2020. You already were a remote company, but did that cause any problems or challenges that you didn't expect for either for you or for your customers?
Yeah, we couple of our project has been cancelled or postponed due to the effect that it has been for our client, I would say. Like we do working with a utility company, and they were installing the solar panel and those sort of things, and we actually start a project, and a day after they call us and said, sorry, we cannot actually continue because we have to cut our budget on all the sides because all of the equipments come from China, and the ports are closed now. So like there's nothing coming anymore, so we don't have anything to install, so we don't need the software to manage it.
Mhm.
So those sort of scenario also happen for us, or when the people go to the quiet time and they weren't sure to make any decisions because of those lockdown, and
Mhm.
like we were trying to expand in the UK, and what I heard from one of our partner in the UK, he said like we're going to go to another 6 weeks lockdown.
Hmm.
So those sort of things definitely affect us and affect the other businesses as well. Uh, like like many of the industry has been actually vanished entirely. Imagine like airlines and the travels industry and those sort of things has been so badly affected. For us, it has been a good point and a bad point.
Hmm.
So sometimes it's getting quiet, and sometimes it's getting so busy as well because of the because of forcing company to be remote
Hmm.
in one night, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, like I heard that like a plan was some improvement into the IT on the government level, and that was planned to be completed in 2030, and it's already completed.
Mm.
That means like the COVID even forced the governments to implement their sort of digital solutions much quicker than what they expect. um,
Interesting.
because like yeah, because no one knows that it's going to happen, right?
Right.
And then it's happened, and then like I said, you have no right to go outside, like at least in Australia, like we do have very restrict lockdown. It's, I know that it's different in the US because we do have a partner there, and they're saying like no, we are at work. So no, we are at home still. So but like here, when no one's go to the work, and they have to work like remotely, so it's basically company forced to work remotely.
Hmm.
And in this case, I would say uh, that cows, without any planning, you actually face a situation. So you need to make a decision quickly and do some action quickly. If you have a file server in your company and you're at home, it's not accessible anymore, right?
Right.
So what do you want to do? Like, you don't have access to any of your file. How you want to actually proceed with your work?
Hmm. Yeah, no, it was a challenge. A lot of people um, changed their ways of doing things in March, April, and May. That's for sure. I think
Yes.
it's settled down. I think everyone's kind of adjusted to it by now, but it was pretty interesting there for a while.
Yeah, but now it's actually a place to improve those things. So the initial things was, we don't have water. How should I how should I live, right?
Right.
The water is now available, the oxygen is now available for business to be able to breathe. But
Right.
then the next step would be, how can I do the things that I was doing before? How can I collaborate that smoothly and easily with my colleague, uh, where I was doing it before COVID, right?
Mhm.
So those sort of things is actually become more important these days.
Mhm.
And on the other hand, because of the COVID, like market is going down. I was looking at the report, and I was like seeing that most of the GDP, which was going 5% or 3% up every year, it's going 5% to 10% down this year, which is like a 15% decrease
Mhm.
in the GDP on the entire world. Like,
Yeah.
so that means like less income for the company. When it's less income for the company, they need to be more worried about their expense.
Mhm.
So they need to be able to find the solutions that allow them to um, cut their costs. And one of those solutions is actually automation.
Mhm.
So one of the things that is happening a lot in the corporate is doubling up the data entry.
Mhm.
But with the integration, it's actually happening automatically without human interaction. And it's actually decreasing the errors as well, because every human will make a mistake, right?
Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree. So Ihsan, I want to thank you for your time today. I know it's early in the morning there, so you've got a whole day ahead of you. So thank you very much, and good luck with 365 Digital Consulting. I think you've got a nice little niche there that you're. I think you're going to do well.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for the Gapper to provide such a facility and and such a meeting setup. I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome, and have a good weekend. I know it's
You
Friday.
too.
Bye.
Cheers. Thanks.